Hey everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Vader 400 here. It's time for another review. And as you can see, this is part one of my long Dragon Ball marathon review series to lead up into Brawly, Dragon Ball Super Brawly, um, Super the movie, which I finally found a website to watch this movie on, and I'm about to watch it right now, right now for the first time. But I always wanted to do a I never got around to doing it in 2000. I never got around to doing it until now, but I meant to do it as soon as this movie was announced, and that was a long marathon reviewing all the Dragon Ball movies as a 1 to 3 videos series, and then talking about the television series as part of my long Dragon Ball marathon. I'm going to start off with the Broly trilogy itself. I'm going to review all 3 movies in one video. This is the webcam portion here. If anyone, well, for those of you who don't know, I am a huge fan of the Brawly. I'm a huge fan of the legendary Brawly, the legendary Super Saiyan movies. I think the first one is the best, followed by the second one, and the third one is absolutely terrible. But I enjoy it much better now than I did when I was a teenager. I saw this movie when I was a teenager, so yeah, I wasn't that much of a kid when I saw Brawly. I have much more appreciation for that movie now than I did when I was a teenager. So yeah, with that being said, let's get started right now. listen up, listen up, listen up, listen up, listen up. Hey everybody, it's time for part 2 of my review of all the Dragon Ball Z Broly movies. And I'm going to start off with the very first one, Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, which of course came out in 1993, but I didn't see it until 10 years later in 2003. Before I get started with this review, I'm going to give my history on the Broly on the 1993 Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan movie. Of course, once again, just like with the Buu saga, when the Cell saga finished, I thought that was the end of Dragon Ball Z. There is no one more powerful than Cell or the Super Saiyan 2. Then I go in the store one day, then I see action figures of all of these movie characters, Broly, all of these movie characters, and the characters of the Buu saga. When I finally get around to seeing the Buu saga, I don't see any mentions of Broly, despite on various websites seeing various pictures of Broly fighting the Z Fighters, even some fictitious pictures of Broly as a Super Saiyan 4. But I would never see him in any of the series. That wasn't until I learned, I got a book called Absolute Dragon Ball Z, either Absolute or Totally Dragon Ball Z. I had 2 Dragon Ball Z magazines. And in both of them, they talked about how the Broly character appears in a movie trilogy of his own. So I downloaded, using the old school Imish website, Imish and Kazaa, I downloaded the first 2 Broly movies, Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan and the Second Coming. Let's start off with the Legendary Super Saiyan. And from the opening act with King Kai to the final climactic battle between Broly and the Z Fighters, this was the greatest Dragon Ball Z movie ever. And not only is it the greatest, one of the greatest Dragon Ball Z movies ever, it's one of the greatest movies, anime movies of all time, and one of the greatest Dragon Ball related materials, period. Dragon Ball Z, Broly Legendary Super Saiyan. It is still just as awesome as an adult, watching it several years later. This was one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. The Super Broly movie, the Super Broly movie, that movie had a much better Broly. That movie had a much better Broly because it was canon, and that Broly was more of a misguided anti-hero than a villain. But this movie right here, this Broly movie was a way better movie. A much better storyline, more violence, more consistency with the series despite not fitting in the timeline at all, and more characters and a bigger, more epic battle. This battle consisted of Goku, Gohan, Trunks, Piccolo, and Vegeta in an all-out fight with Broly. One of the best Dragon Ball Z battles of all time. All the Z Fighters with the exception of Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and Roshi and them, fighting Broly Avengers style. Let's start off with the storyline before we get to everything else that was good about this film. Storyline. The storyline immediately starts off with the galaxy, with the South Galaxy being destroyed, and King Kai fears it's the legendary Super Saiyan, and begins to contact Goku. Goku is at some school meeting with Chi-Chi, trying to get Gohan into one of the prestigious high schools, but Goku doesn't want to. Goku would rather be at the picnic, which is where everyone else are. King Kai gets Goku out of the meeting and tells him to go to the to go to the South Galaxy to investigate this new powerful force. Meanwhile, back at the picnic area, back at the quote unquote picnic area, with Vegeta, Trunks, Bulma, Roshi, Oolong, and um, Paragus' ship arrived. Paragus' ship arrived, and he's a Saiyan. And he comes to recruit Vegeta, and Trunks to be the prince of this new Vegeta. But first, they gotta stop this. They gotta stop the legend. They gotta stop the legendary Super Saiyan. So Paragus brings Vegeta and everyone else halfway around the world to this new galaxy and this new planet to stop the Super Saiyan, but it's no avail. During this meeting, they meet up with Broly, who appears to be a non-violent toothpick weakling of a Saiyan, but later in the film, late in the night, Broly randomly snaps and begins attacking Goku. And during this battle, Broly powers up rapidly, and Goku immediately recognizes this as the energy Broly that he was facing. Meanwhile, Vegeta prepares to go back to Earth due to their inability to find the legendary Super Saiyan. That is until Goku lets everyone in on Paragus' plan, which Paragus' plan was to lure the Z fighters and Vegeta there, so they can get hit by the Comet Komori, and be killed, and they can rule Earth and take revenge on King Vegeta and King Vegeta. They can take revenge on King Vegeta, and of course they can take revenge on Vegeta. They can take revenge on King Vegeta's son, Vegeta, and Trunks, and like I said, rule Earth. And then this gigantic battle erupts between Goku, Gohan, and Trunks. Piccolo hasn't arrived yet, and Vegeta was just too scared to fight Broly because he was the legendary Super Saiyan, one of the many legends and one of the many things Vegeta fears besides Frieza. And this all-out battle, right when Broly overwhelms Gohan, Piccolo makes his dramatic entrance and saves Gohan from Broly's blast, and they all fight, and they all team up, gang up on Broly. They all gang up on Broly. Vegeta criticizes them, telling them, are they mad? He's a legendary Super Saiyan. He'll kill them all. Piccolo reprimands Vegeta for his cowardice and tells him to stay clear of the real warriors, and tells him he can't believe how cowardly he's acting. Vegeta eventually comes around and is motivated to fight and attacks Broly, but it is futile. Meanwhile, everyone prepares to give their energy to Goku, but everyone except for Vegeta, who refuses to give his energy to a subordinate. Meanwhile, while Paragus prepares to escape, Broly squishes him and throws him right into the Comet Komori, killing his own father. Then Goku starts retrieving the energy from everyone else, and Broly and Goku finally charge for the climactic showdown, with Vegeta finally giving in and giving Goku his energy, and they clash, and Goku overwhelms Broly with a huge punch to the gut, appearing to destroy him, and everyone escapes on Piccolo's spaceship he used to get there. And the film ends with Goku going back to the school meeting and talking about reading his sports, and Chi-Chi just fades, and Gohan and Goku and Panic, and the film ends there. Like I said, an awesome film, awesome storyline, action, villain, one of the coolest villains and characters in the Dragon Ball Z franchise is Broly. Like I said in plenty of videos, Broly brings the edginess and badassery to Dragon Ball Z. The real edginess and badassery to Dragon Ball Z. He is what Saiyan should be. Mean, violent, killing machine. Psychotic killing machines. Not these weak, emotional Super Saiyans we've had to deal with since the Frieza arc. And like I said, he brings the actual badassery, not this try-hard badassery that Vegeta and the rest bring. He busted so much ass, and it's just one of the coolest characters. Broly and Super Saiyan 4, the fusion characters, and Mystic Gohan were the peaks of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball would never be this awesome again. Would never be this awesome again. It is still one of the best movies today. Also, a phenomenal soundtrack. Each version, I love each version. I love the original Japanese. I love the original Japanese with the Henchala theme in the beginning and the biggest fight theme at the end, the listen up that I used as my intro and will be used as my outro. And of course, I like the English soundtrack, which has a lot of has a lot of classical hard rock and edgy heavy metal songs. I keep forgetting what the ending credits song sounded like, but it was awesome. It was awesome. This is one of Funimation's best Dragon Ball related works. But of course it is, because this is a movie versus them trying to dub 100+ episodes of Dragon Ball. Then of course you have the newly remastered Funimation version with updated remastered visuals and has the original Japanese audio soundtrack with English dub speaking, the Funimation English dub speaking actors. And it's awesome. It's awesome. So yeah, there's also a Blue Water dub which I haven't seen, but these are only 3 versions I've seen, and I like all 3. I used to own the old school Funimation VHS, but it got thrown out. And I will definitely in the future try to remember to either download or track this down on DVD. But yeah, one of the best movies of all time, and I love what this movie did with the characters, particularly Vegeta. This and GT are the best Vegeta has ever been. I like how they added more depth with this character, with Broly being the one character he is afraid of. But later on in the film, remember that he is the Prince of Saiyans, and that even Broly will bow to him and was inspired and motivated to fight. Then, who else? Goku. I like Goku here. I like Goku much better in the animated movies in GT than I do in the series. Here, he still is fun-loving and loves the fight, loves the exciting challenge, but he remembers priorities. Something that was forgotten when we got to the Cell, Buu, and Super arcs. And even Krillin and Roshi and Oolong is okay, but Krillin and Roshi, 2 of the most worstest and overrated and weakest characters in Dragon Ball, where Krillin got to kick some butt earlier, beating up some of Paragon's men, and him and Roshi and Oolong were great comedy reliefs. For the serious tone, the serious dark cinematic tone this movie had. This movie was also better animated and better drawn than its cartoon. So one of the best anime films of all time, one of the best DBZ films, and one of the best DBZ related material, period. Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan. This movie was so popular, it inspired a sequel. Broly, the Second Coming. Don't have much to say about this film. This was a weak sequel, but it's still entertaining. It was still entertaining. My favorite and best scene was Gohan saving Goten and Trunks saving Goten from Broly, and Gohan in his brand new Majin Buu outfit, which only appeared briefly in the Majin Buu saga, fighting Broly. Yeah, see, this movie is weak because it was set during the Buu era, which means Goku was dead, Piccolo and Vegeta and them are nowhere to be seen, and Goten, Trunks, and Videl are the stars of the show, and Gohan doesn't show up until the very end of the film for his final epic battle with Broly, which in my opinion is one of the best fights in Dragon Ball Z. Even Krillin makes an appearance here, and both Krillin, Goten, and Trunks, and even Videl, who Videl I do like, they were much better here in this movie than they were in the actual Majin Buu saga. Videl even took on Broly in this film, versus Majin Buu, where she was running with her tail between her legs and got killed by the chocolate blast by Majin Buu.
How in the world did you figure out we were way out here?
What else? What else? So yeah, like I said, not much to say about this movie. Not as good as the first one, but still a pretty good sequel. Much weaker than the first one. Not as long as the first one, and not as entertaining or memorable as the first one. The most memorable thing is adult Gohan, Super Saiyan adult Gohan in this badass costume fighting Broly, but still a good sequel and much better, and one of my favorites alongside the original and Super Broly. Much better than that craptacular sequel, Bio Broly. Bio Broly, now unlike the first two Broly movies, which I saw in 2003, I was about 15, 16 years old when I saw Bio Broly. When I finally got around to seeing Bio Broly, I heard negative reviews about the film, but I was still interested in seeing the film, and the film was garbage. The film was garbage. At the time, I consider it one of the worst Dragon Ball animated films of all time. That was up until I saw Fakatsu no F and Battle of Gods and the entire Super franchise. It's no longer the worst, but it's the worst of the original Dragon Ball Z movie series and the Broly trilogy. But it's still entertaining at these moments. The first is the return, the final appearance of Broly. At first, as a kid, I hated Broly's new design. Now, as an adult, being a huge fan of the DC villain Swamp Thing, I love Broly's appearance here. This film is like one gigantic monster, Dragon Ball Z monster movie, and I like how Android 18, Goten and Trunks and Krillin have big roles. They were much better here in this saga, in this movie, than they were in the actual Majin Buu saga. Like I said, that's all I gotta say. The action was good, the animation was good, and the story was decent, but it didn't have any of the cast. It didn't have Gohan, Goku, or any of the other characters. And was just another weak sequel. But it shows you how popular Broly was because he had 3 appearances. So this was my review of the entire Broly movies. I'll review each movie individually in video form next time. But with that being said, I'm finished. You don't want to hear the rest of this video, turn the video off right now.
We don't kill him right now. He'll destroy the entire universe. But there's no...